Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Fisher, and I'm going to introduce you to Sally a little bit later when we take off. But I wanted to talk very quickly about something. It has to do with the resident council. The resident council has 9 members that rotate on and off. Each member is serving a 3-year term. And so therefore, what we will be doing is we are in the part now where 3 people will move off. I'm one of those people, and 3 will move on. It is going to be up to you to decide which 3 move on. And so therefore, Sally, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Oops. I want to thank the nominating committee first for doing all the great work to get to this point in our election process. Nancy Bartels, Bob Lunning, Ken Mackey, who's our timekeeper today, and Betty Silva. So we will, before we begin and introduce the candidates, I wanted to review the qualifications for the candidates. And this is really important. We have a lot of new neighbors here, and I just wanted to review this, even though we've had it in other publications. Residency is very important, 2 years from the time of the beginning of the election. So in this case, this year, September 16th, 2019 is the date. Then skills are needed, interpersonal skills, really to be an effective communicator, and working well with others while exercising independent thought. It's important to work together and collaborate. So that's an important part of being on the resident council team. So being an effective communicator doesn't mean everybody has to always agree with you, please, but you want to have different ideas. And also, it's very important to have computer skills and be able to use those skills on a daily basis, either with the internet, word processing, of course, email, and accessing Pulse. Pulse is a very important part of our lives here. So we really need to be sure that we're very comfortable using Pulse and know all the as many ins and outs as we can. Another part of the requirements or qualifications that we'd like to see in a candidate is to have an active person who has been in many different activities in and around PVE, on committees, in groups, activities, the chorale, the just a lot of different things that we think is really important. So the more people that you have contact with, the better people feel like they can ask questions and come to you and you respond to them. We have a lot of interesting things to do. And another really super important part is your willingness to commit your time and effort to carry out the responsibilities and obligations of resident council membership. It's a 3-year period, as Doug mentioned, and so it's important to know that you're willing to do this for 3 years. And it sometimes it's not real easy, as we all know. But also, it's very rewarding, and working with our neighbors is wonderful. And the other thing that a candidate needs to do is be willing to take a leadership role. We have a lot of other activities that the resident council does with committees, as you need to be a liaison and also be willing to lead special projects. We have the wellness committee, for instance, that has been started through resident council. And it's just really important to make sure that you are willing to participate in all of that and for the betterment of not only our community, but the council itself. In alphabetical order today, you're going to hear from Betty Burns, then Don Campbell, Caroline Keller, Candace Miller, and Joe Spinelli. And after that, I'll be back and have a few more words. Thank you. And so first up is Betty Burns. And I have to put my mask back on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Betty Byrne. I am a California girl. I was born in San Luis Obispo and later grew up in Exeter. I became involved in competitive swimming and water skiing and went on to represent California at a competitive swim meet in Hawaii. I graduated from UC Fresno with a home economics degree and a teaching credential, plus a double minor in physical education and art. I attended a 6-week art course in Europe to further my education of different types of architecture, various styles of artists, and the use of color. In the following years, I taught at both junior and senior high schools, and also continued my education in restaurant and hotel management at UC San Francisco. I feel this experience helped me provide my students with the knowledge and skills to run a restaurant on campus, and later find jobs. I feel that this background has helped me develop people skills and a sensitivity to others' needs. Before retiring, I was honored to be named Vacaville Rotary Club's Teacher of the Year. Community service has always been an important part of my life. Previously, I was president of the Fairfield chapter of PEO, which is a philanthropic organization that promotes education for women. During my 2 years as president, I had 4 very successful fundraisers. These and other positions have helped to sharpen my management skills. I've also been a deacon and an elder in my church, worked the election polls for charity, and did shopping and cooking for elderly people. After arriving at Paradise Valley to live, I was elected to the Dining Services Committee and served 3 years as secretary, vice chair, and chairman. More recently, I've become a member of the Wellness Committee, where I've managed the Let's Do Lunch program because of my concern to help new residents get acquainted. I also worked on the Talent Show Committee and served on the Art Advisory Group, Flower Committee, and worked at the PVE store. I am involved in welcoming new neighbors through marketing, by showing my home, having lunch with prospective residents, and mentoring new residents. Other attributes I can contribute to the resident council are my energy, creativity, dependability, organizational skills, and a willingness to help others. I want to be a member of the resident council because I feel it's the best way to help serve our community. I'm very aware of the growing pains we will experience as the campus expands and the potential problems in closing the dining room. I'm also aware of your concern about potential parking problems at the Ridge and the probable financial increases next year. In closing, I feel that my background and experience in these areas and positions I have held made me well qualified to represent you. I also feel that I'm a good listener and sympathetic to your concerns, and I can assure you that I will elevate your worries, problems, and concerns to the resident council and to senior management. Again, my name is Betty Byrne. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Don Campbell, and I'm honored to be a nominee for the Resident Council. My wife Susie and I came to Paradise Valley Estates nearly 3 years ago after I retired following a 24-year career in the U.S. Coast Guard and a stint in aerospace and defense. In a third career, I was a systems consultant for both corporate and state clients. And you can imagine kind of the skill set required to coordinate between customers and contractors. Just before we came here, my wife Susie and I wound up a 10-year career sailing the world as enrichment lecturers. The first person we met here at Paradise Valley simply asked, "Do you play golf?" At a dinner before we actually made the decision to move here, we were told life here is like living on a cruise ship without the water. Because of all of you, Susie and I have enjoyed a life that we never had imagined possible. You welcomed us into this community with open arms. We jumped right in, presenting our series, Cruising with the Campbells, which were the lectures that we gave on the cruise ships over the years. We met many of you and learned that life at Paradise Valley was special. Soon I became secretary of the Tech Committee, chairman of the Time Capsule Committee, active in the Paradise Valley Players, a moaner and groaner, although not good, and a player of bocce for the Coyotes, as well as being a host and a mentor. We lived in Building 2000 for nearly 3 years and waiting for our forever home. Recently, we finally moved into a quad with our adopted feral kitten, Pumpkin. She was born here at Paradise Valley. Our lives have gotten better every day as we have made many, many new friends. We have shared your joys and we have deeply felt your sorrows. Sure, there have been ups and downs, but everyone here has been so supportive and helpful. Just a few days ago, we adopted another feral kitten, this one named Lizzie. Our lives have never been better. Next month, we will begin a new class series called Crafting with the Campbells. The next few years will see all of us experience changes we had never thought possible. Now, no one likes changes, but the new 6,000 area will open soon and our population will grow as new neighbors move in. Those new residents need to be greeted into this community with the same welcoming spirit that we experienced when we arrived in 2018. We all should become their new friends, not just their neighbors, and this makes it a better home. The routine pattern of life for all of us will change as activities and meetings gradually move into new facilities. There will even be changes in where we eat. Some things will be farther away and less convenient. It won't happen overnight, but change will happen. In my opinion, change is accepted most easily when people know what to expect and how they're going to deal with the details impacting their lives. I believe the resident council can and must provide the leadership for all residents as we move into the future. They need to reach out and help everyone adapt to the new Paradise Valley estates and become a meaningful conduit for communication between residents and management. I know that communication and transparency are key to a successful completion of the changes we will all experience. With a large number of committees and clubs, Paradise Valley really has much to offer for involvement and activity. It is all of our responsibility to make this the best place to live. I'm committed to making Paradise Valley Estates a more welcoming, active, involved, and inclusive community. This is accomplished through transparency, education, and communication. If elected, I will strive to make this happen by representing all of us. Thank you for your support in voting for me, Don Campbell.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Keller, and I appreciate the opportunity to be considered for the PVE Resident Council. All of us have moved here from independent homes where we could make all of our own decisions regarding our living situation. On the other hand, occasionally, we stay briefly in a hotel where we must accept whatever living arrangements that facility provides. PVE is like a hybrid, where we can no longer make individually independent decisions, but we can all actively participate in creating a community of which we're all proud. And having a council with 9 residents provides a variety of points of view in making recommendations. These past months have been very challenging for all of us, and I thought about that as I listened to Andre Bocelli sing at the We Love New York concert last month. The words he sang, "When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark." And the ending words, "And you'll never walk alone." That is what I treasure most about PVE, our mutual support. My PVE experiences include serving as secretary to both the Landscape and the Health Services Committees, playing chimes, singing and serving as co-chair of the PVE Chorale, developing an Each One Reach One program to help isolated residents connect during the early days of COVID, and helping to design, plant, and maintain PVE gardens. Both my personal and professional life have always involved public service. With degrees in math, physics, and education, I served 42 years as a teacher, counselor, grant writer, and administrator for K-12 schools, a community college, and UC Riverside, working with youth, families, and the community beyond. In retirement, I valued the opportunity to work with fellow Rotarians and community volunteers to develop a horticulture, culinary, and small business program for adolescent girls from Sonoma County Juvenile Hall, providing them with the skills for a fresh start. My military connections are sparse. More than 100 years ago, my father, not my grandfather, but my father, was a secretary to a World War I officer. First, because he was a native German speaker, and secondly, because he could type. I don't even know the military branch in which he served. While we often think of stability as a valuable community goal, on closer inspection, we see that stability is more likely an illusion. Our lives are changing continuously. Delightful changes like adding new family members, and challenging ones like COVID and fires. That's why it's so helpful for all of us to work together, assessing the challenges and being flexible as we create new plans. PVE faces challenges as we assimilate new residents and plan for community upgrades while the pandemic continues. I look forward to working together with you as residents and with management as we meet our challenges and shape our future. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Candace Miller, and my strengths for the Resident Council include a focus on healthcare, wellness, and collaboration. We are now literally stepping into our future, and how are we reacting to our campus's changes? And how welcoming are we to our new neighbors? I've had 42 years of nursing experience, starting with the Army, where I trained, and I was stationed in Fort Belvoir, Vietnam, and Letterman in San Francisco. Then I went to graduate school and became an advanced practice nurse and worked for the VA in San Francisco and in Sacramento, first as an oncology clinical nurse specialist and then as a wound ostomy continence clinical nurse specialist. One of my jobs was to prevent pressure ulcers, so one day I decided we needed new beds for the entire hospital. Of course, I was told, no, we can't do that, but think bigger. So I applied to the high-tech, high-cost committee for new beds for 6 hospitals in our entire VISN, and they gave me $1 million. And so over the next few years, we replaced every single bed in 6 VA Northern California hospitals and nursing homes with pressure reduction and specialty beds. I'm passionate about good health care, and I'm passionate about health care at Laurel Creek. In fact, the nursing staffing at Laurel Creek, when I toured here, considering moving here, was what sealed the deal for me because it was good. Secondly, I would focus on wellness. From Pilates to pickleball courts, folks in my generation who are moving in here are probably having a lifetime habit of exercise. We look for active classes in good facilities, and I think that's a big marketing plus for us. One day last year when we were locked down, Marilyn and I were walking behind the 3000 building, and we looked over at Parcel 3 and we said, wouldn't it be beautiful if we could walk over there? It's gorgeous. I said, well, I know how we can do that. I'm going to write a CAPEX suggestion and see if we can get a walkway built. And thanks to some very fine people, it made it out of committee, and now the Land Use Committee is bordering on accepting title to Parcel 3. When we get the title to that land, we can work on grants to help offset the cost of building an ADA accessible walkway around the entire parcel. This will be a major a beautiful environmental upgrade to our campus. And finally, I want to talk about a collaborative work ethic. I'm very thoughtful about documents I sign, and I think management has guided us skillfully through the pandemic and the imminent opening of the 6000s. I was shocked to realize it might be a year or two of renovation of the dining room. So I studied the upgrades and I talked to the planners, and I'm happy to hear that it can absolutely reopen as a dining room after the renovations. I like the idea of expanding the club. I love the club, and serving food in there like a pub. I gave written feedback to the resident council, and I pledged to continue my lifelong collaborative, successful ethic of collaboration, not confrontation with management, for the good of my patients and my community. I look forward to representing our collective voice on the resident council as we move forward with these areas, and my focus is healthcare, wellness, and collaboration. George Eliot says, "What do we live for if not to make life less difficult for each other?" By serving on the resident council, I'd like to help make life less difficult for all of us here at PVE. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Spinelli, and being the last speaker, I'll try to keep this brief. I do want to explain why I think I'm qualified to serve on the resident council. I have a long history of advocating for consumers of public service. Throughout my adult life, I fought to assure that services for the developmentally disabled were quality and available. For example, I was instrumental in moving an organization to provide direct services. And that's a fiscally challenging thing to do. Today, that organization, Lifehouse, which is headquartered in Marin and Sonoma counties, is the largest provider of services for the developmentally disabled in the Bay Area. In my work career, I was a department head and administrator at UCSF. And my department charged faculty grants for the services that we provided. Now, faculty wanted the best quality service for the lowest possible cost. Does that sound familiar? I must have succeeded in pleasing our customers to some extent because I had the same job for 30 years. So as a former administrator, I have some insight as to what it takes to manage PVE. But I'm also very sensitive to the needs and wishes of the consumers of services. And here at PVE, that's our residents. So I've told you a little bit about what I did before I came to PVE. You may want to know what I've done since I've been here. I've been in several skits put on by the Paradise Players. But the sleazy characters I portrayed would hardly be fit to serve on the resident council. I've been corresponding secretary of the Chorale, and mostly that involves sending out reminders for up-and-coming events, but I've tried to liven up those reminders with cartoons that relate to the up-and-coming event. I currently serve as secretary of the Finance Committee, and I've been told that my notes, my minutes, are of high quality, and if you want to check them out, they're on Pulse. On the Dining Committee, I've worked to make our summary of the month's comment cards more reflective of where and when meals were taken. I also recently was appointed to the Philanthropy Committee. Now, because this is a televised event, we're not going to have a chance to interact and have a question and answer period. So if you see me around the campus walking my little dog, or you see me in the dining room, or any place else here at PVE, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks for your attention today.
Well, now you can see what a hard job everybody has. We have wonderful candidates, and we're very excited about what's coming up. So this is how you vote. I just wanted to be sure that everybody was reminded that in your box today, which will be Thursday, there'll be a numbered ballot and a Meet the Candidates brochure that'll be in your in-house mailbox. The ballots are numbered only for the purpose of distribution, and the only names on the ballots are those of the candidates. So please take time to read the brochure about each candidate. You've had a moment to listen to how the experience and the future for PVE can happen. The voting ends on September 30th at 9 p.m. Please, please, please remember to vote for only 3 candidates, no more. You can only vote for 3. If you've marked your ballots for more than 3, the whole ballot will not be valid. So please, only vote for 3 candidates. It's a very difficult job now. Then you may place your ballot in the ballot box in the community center, in Quail Creek, Deer Creek, or Laurel Creek. They will be there starting Thursday, today, and will end on the 30th. The members of the nominating committee will count the ballots. The results will be reported to the president of the resident council, and then those who are elected will be announced in the Friday Flash on October 2nd, and all of the other media outlets that we have. The nominating committee and the members of the resident council hope that you, each one, will participate in this very important part of living here at PVE. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.